Today we're going to walk through pre-harvest management, pre-harvest expectations, and a little bit of a bonus to help us manage for a year from now. Okay, my name's Carl Scholting with Winfield United. I'm going to walk you through some of the key steps that I like to go through when I walk into a field or a plot to understand which field should I harvest first. What are my yield expectations on this farm? And then lastly, what are some things that I can learn to help me manage for next year, whether it's disease tolerance, whether it's trait usage, all those different factors. So come along with me and we'll take a look at some of these factors I like to look at right before harvest season. One thing that's an easy observation is just nutrient deficiency. As you can see here, I've got some different hybrids, but one thing sticks out. If we look at this hybrid right here, we can definitely tell we've got some challenges coming on. Oftentimes when I see this light color, this discoloration, it usually leads to a nutrient deficiency such as nitrogen. Now the other thing that comes along with that, could we have stock issues, as in we cannibalize the stock? So we want to do what we call a pinch test. Let's come on in here and take a look. Okay, I look right here. I'm just going to go down the line and I'm going to pinch these stalks. Okay, that one's fine. Oh, look at that right there. Okay, an issue. Okay, look at this. I'm not very strong, but we got an issue there. Here's another issue. I'm able to pinch right there and twist. Okay, we got some breakage. Now here's good, here's good, here's good. Here's one right here where we got some issues. Okay, now if I take a look, it might not just be nutrient deficiency, but just look right in there. We've got stalk rots. Okay, so it's very important that we walk through these fields where we're seeing discoloration as this plant is starting to senesce and die off. We want to do the pinch test. Now if you're lazy, you can always do this. Okay, you can do a quick kick test. Look what happens. We broke right off there. Okay, but pick a number of plants. Could be 10, could be 20, could be once or twice or 5 times within the field. Take a hard look at what our stalks look like, because that's going to ultimately tell us how soon we need to harvest that field. Is it going to go down quickly or is it going to stay standing? This pinch test or kick test, whichever you prefer, is really going to tell us a big story in terms of nutrient deficiency, standability, and stalk rots. A key factor in 2021 growing season that we haven't seen in a little while is actually corn rootworm pressure. We had many areas across the Corn Belt and Midwest that saw significant corn rootworm pressure that we haven't seen in quite some time. Okay, it's very important to walk through your fields and analyze, if you haven't already, what our root system looks like. Come on in here and take a look. You're going to see very, very quickly. Here's the situation. If you look down here, we've got a lot of goosenecking. Okay, look at these roots all through here. A lot of goosenecking. Okay, if you've seen some of this in your continuous corn acres, make sure you're out there and walking these fields, dig up some of those roots and look for corn rootworm damage. This example right here is actually not corn rootworm damage. This is caused from poor root development. And if that's the case, let's look at our soil type. Let's look, did we have a lot of rain where we were overly saturated? Did we have hard pan in the soil that really hindered our root growth? Many different factors. But a telltale sign of an issue is severe root lodging like this. Now, let's take a look at what some of these roots can look like once we dig them up. This is one of those root lodging plants. Looks pretty tough, okay? Not so good. Now let's look at our ear on this. Not good, okay? So whether it's corn rootworm, whether it's poor root development, very important. If it is corn rootworm, I want you to take a look at this right here. This is a brand new trait coming out called SmartStax Pro. It uses 3 modes of action, including RNAi technology, which is the 3rd mode of action that's in addition to the regular SmartStax. This is here in a plot here in northeast Nebraska. Been really pleased with what we've seen out of this, not only for root development, but also corn rootworm protection across many parts of the entire Midwest. So SmartStax Pro is a new product to take a look at. But again, get out there, look at your fields, make sure that if you're going continuous corn, you have an action plan to manage corn rootworm pressure a year from now. In some geographies this year across the Midwest, we had a lot of high wind situations. Sometimes it led to green snap. It's important to understand green snap, and in my opinion, get out here and take a look at some of these hybrids or some of your farms in terms of, did I have green snap, did I not? And maybe, was it the actual hybrid or was it just timing the growth stage? Here I've got 2 hybrids. Come on in, take a look. Side by side, we can just take simple counts. Look right here. Snap, 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 snap. Look inside here. We got a lot of green snap on this hybrid. Okay, now, next to it, side by side, look at this hybrid. Every plant's here. Okay, Looks awesome. So there is hybrid sensitivity, no doubt, to green snap, but timing also has a lot of a key factor in whether or not we see true green snap on those specific hybrids. So get out there, take a look, use that as a management plan for next year in understanding which hybrids to and to not plant if we're concerned about green snap. Now I'm in the field trying to figure out what's this puppy going to yield like, okay? For me personally, it's all about consistency. I want to husk back a set of ears here that just is consistent. Every single ear, not so much I need a lot of density, but I just want a lot of consistency. And here's a hybrid here, just every single ear looks good, okay? I don't get a bunch of little dinks or a bunch of little doinks. Everything just looks good, okay? So I can tell whether I got 26,000 plants out here in this hybrid, whether I've got 30, 36. This is going to be very high yielding relative to its population because everything looks good. Everything is consistent, okay? This to me is a really important factor of knowing whether a field is going to yield well or not. It tells me it emerged well. It tells me that it flowered consistently. And then the other thing I like to do while I'm in here is take a look at different foliar diseases. Do we see any? Here, right here, we haven't seen this pop up much in the last couple years, especially in the West. Goss's wilt, okay? Take notes of anything that you're seeing inside that canopy. Here's Goss's wilt. Some other plots I've walked, I've seen southern rust. Now I'm also gonna look down low for some physoderma, stalk rot, okay? I don't see any in here. The physoderma is a disease, a stalk rot that we've got really a lot of trending volume out there in the fields today because of some of the genetics. They're just not very resistant to it. So physoderma, Goss's, southern rust, gray leaf spot, all those things you want to look for while you're here in the canopy. But as I mentioned earlier, on the ears, consistency is key. I haven't even counted length. I haven't counted rows around. I know just by husking back 10 in a row whether or not I've got a good picture for yield opportunity or a poor picture for yield opportunity. That means a lot to me. While I'm husking ears back, another key piece that I'm looking for is ear damage from insects, okay? The main one for me is western bean cutworm. Many other areas have corn earworm. Take a look right here. This is a hybrid. Boom, 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 boom. And as I husk more back, I bet I'll see more. Yep, there we go. Okay, this is western bean cutworm damage right at the tip. Okay, there's a big one. That was a big old fat worm that took care of that one. All right, we got just a little bit on that one. There's some showing up right there. Okay, here's more. All right, so you can see every single plant has this. If you're out in your fields, okay, and you're running across this type of damage, we really need to consider how we're going to treat that for next year, okay? If it's a problem for you today, good chance in the future it could potentially be a problem. So, western bean cutworm, we can handle it with biotechnology. A brand new trait from Bear Crop Science is Tricepta. It takes our current VT Double Pro and combines it with Agrasure Viptera, and it gives fantastic protection against both corn earworm and western bean cutworm. Or if we're flying planes with fungicide and we have an opportunity to get insecticide out there and take care of this, that's another route. But make sure you're looking at this stuff. Now's a great time to see the damage and understand that, oh shoot, I really need to take a look at this a year from now and add that into my management plan for 2022. Another key factor that I'm taking a look at when we're in the field or analyzing hybrids or performance is test weight and grain quality. A lot of people love to turn around in their combine grain tank and see this beautiful dark orange color, which usually signals fantastic grain quality, and it's going to weigh up. It's excellent test weight, okay? Easiest thing for me to tell you, the more it looks like popcorn, the better the test weight it's going to be. Take a look at this hybrid right here. Look at the very top. We just have that beautiful dark orange color. Here's another ear right next to it. This is, if you're a guy or a gal that's desiring great test weight grain, here's a great example of that, okay? Here, let's husk this one back. I always find it to be exciting when I get that very first bit back and it literally looks just like popcorn, okay? That's awesome stuff. Fantastic grain quality. Definitely something that a lot of farmers desire. The other thing that I can do here while I'm looking at it is crack these open. Let's see what our kernel depth is, seeing what our moisture line is. This is not quite halfway, but getting close. But notice the smallness of this cob. A lot of yield today is coming from kernel depth, okay? And making sure we have adequate fertility, nutrition, fungicide if need be. All helps to enable the deepest kernels possible, which is going to drive that top end yield potential later in the year. We're not going to see ears that are 85 long by 40 around, okay? All right, we're gonna drive yield through population, we're gonna drive yield through stress tolerance, we're gonna drive yield through management practices that I've talked about here today, and kernel depth is a really key factor of that. So we wanna manage late into the year, and getting out here in these fields and looking at these things really helps us to understand what we have done great, what we could possibly improve on, and how we plan for 2022.